All right, so let's talk about the uh, concepts of value. The way I see it, our concepts of value and how we apply them lacks a an understanding, a a physical relationship, something concrete. Um, the U.S. and Western governments uh, likes to use likes to use these illusionary values. Now I call it illusionary because it's not followed up by actual action, actual things that you can demonstrably see and apply. They always throw around the concept of democracy, freedom, liberty, or they apply it in a uh, devious, malicious way by creating evils. They create these evils by saying, "Oh, this country's people or ruler or whatever is a dictator. He's an authoritarian. He's a or she or whatever." They use you know they use forced labor, or they use this, or they use that. And if you've been thinking clearly, you can see this. And the media in the West plays a critical part in this. They constantly use these um, to vilify, to create this evil. But then there is the aspect in the West of denial of evil. Uh, and so, and the public and the policymakers often deny this. And so, what you get is and I'm not a believer in God, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a religious person. There's a very deep distinction with me as to what is spiritual and what is religion. Religion is a farce. It's a it's a it's a fantasy. It's an illusion. Spirituality is taking the philosophical aspects that are often written in religious texts, the concept of religion, philosophies that have been around for thousands upon thousands of years before there was a Jesus, before there was a Muhammad, before there was a Buddha, before all of this, or Yahweh, or whatever you want. Before there were the gods of the Norse, the Norse gods, or the Greek gods, or the Roman gods, or the ones that they call pagan. These philosophies have been around thousands upon thousands of years. It is things that are common, natural, common things that pop up. And so within the so-called religious texts, there are these philosophies, and when they're and when they talk about the devil lies, and the devil tries to make you think that evil doesn't exist, and so on and so forth. These are old philosophies. They may not have been called the devil or Satan or whatever, but these were around for a long time. They were named in different ways. But all the stuff that they talk about in Genesis, thing is Westerners deny those concepts, because those are just the devil and Satan and all those demons, and those are just things that came about because people understood better the philosophical nature way back, the spiritual nature. They knew that they were, and they saw this in their life, of how people lied, cheated, stole, killed, murdered, raped, pillaged, plundered, what we call con artists, and now we call, so many things. And we have a tendency to ignore these evils. And that's a large part of that is because of the so-called education, especially the history that we are taught from when we are born, to and is propagated into propaganda over and over and over again by the media. Before we had radio, or before we had Morse code, or even before when we had books and written text. This was done by people that were town criers, or the rumor mill. So what ends up happening is that using these different methods of rumor mills and town criers or whatnot, it's like what you get is the archetypal evil in the so-called leadership and the representatives. And so what you get is a denial of the evil. It's the indoctrination, because every society has it, but the Western societies have made this into a dogma, into a constant static indoctrination, this brainwashing. And so we deny evil because we don't know. We can talk about it, we can say it, but we don't really know or feel in a way that matters. So we end up basically denying the evil. And so what we do is participate in the evil. We spout the narratives and the and we socially normalize it, and we become part of it. We do We do it, and we deny how evil it is, and that's because we've been brought up to think that we are good, and our ideas and concept of good uh, basically denies the evil, that evil exists, that evil is not some mythological demon or whatever, or demon, but the evil is what we do as a society, what we accept as a society, what we accept as a community, what we accept when we have children, and we put them and allow them to be indoctrinated in our inability to know our values. We deny these, and we've gone to we've gone to this individualism where, if we don't go out and do physically harm people, or if we don't steal, we don't cheat, and so on and so forth. But collectively, as a society, when we allow for it to happen, and all we can throw at it is thoughts and prayers, all we can throw at it is saying, "Oh, we didn't actually participate," but you are participating in a society, in a community, in a collective. If you don't stand up to it, if you don't inform yourself, if you don't get together and talk to each other, inform each other, and find, based on solid, concrete values, and we don't look for corrections and solutions, if we don't come together and force out these evils, because we acknowledge that it is evil. If we can't accept it in our own personal, individual existence, then why are we allowing it for others? When you can be intolerant for yourself of evils done to you, yet all you can throw about is talking about your values, or thoughts and prayers. What does that actually do? It does nothing. And the West has thousands upon thousands of years of allowing this. So long as it doesn't impact us personally. That is not values. That means your value is that you accept evil. You deny that there is evil being done in your name. That is what it is. And so, whether it's religious, societal, or whatever you want to call it, you are accepting evil. You are participating in evil. Whether you consciously are participating or not, you are. By not standing together, by not constantly keeping yourself informed, by not constantly talking with each other, by accepting these arbitrary standards that housing should be a commodity, that water should be a commodity, food should be a commodity, energy should be a commodity, education should be a commodity. Where is the community there? How will you find peace? How will you reach for perfection to evolve when you accept those things I just named. When you accept that people can be commodities, like during slavery and what we are now, because we're just wage slaves, that is acceptance of evil. When you accept that, when you accept money or the concept of ownership of anything, then you are accepting evil. You are participating. Whether willingly or unwillingly, you are accepting evil. This is spiritualism I'm talking about. Not religion, but spiritualism. You can't say you want equality, but then when you do something and you are basically let off or given a slap on the wrist, while somebody who did the exact same thing, who's not of your particular social circle or skin color, then you're not for equality. You are accepting of the evil. And going out there and protesting out in the streets, that does nothing. Getting on video and talking about it does nothing. You need to do more. I go out, when I talk about stuff, I do that out in the real world. I talk to people. I try to inform people. I try to get them to understand, to build a consensus, to build a collective, to make people aware of critical thoughts and thinking. I try to evolve others to help themselves to be more informed so that they can evolve and reach for that perfection. Critical thought isn't just about thinking. It's about how your emotions and your thinking come together so that there is a clarity, an understanding, a deep-rooted center of what values are, and a consistency of those values. What often is talked about as ethics, which drives morality, I am consistently ethically moral. And those are my values. Why do I? Because I had life experience, which tells me that, because I've suffered molestation, I've suffered being almost killed by my birth mother, from being called a chink, and all sorts of other slanders, all sorts of other stuff, of being accused of this and that and that and that and this. I know. I don't like it, of being attacked out of nowhere, verbally and physically. I know. I didn't like it. I didn't want it. I didn't deserve it. So therefore, I collectively embrace that as being unacceptable, intolerable for that to happen to others. I don't care if I know them personally. Those are my values. That is what drives me. I understand suffering, and I understand that suffering is something that is intolerable for myself and therefore others. That is the community. Suffering is intolerable for the world at large, for nature. because it's all interconnected. Those are the values I ascribe to. Those are the values I value. Courage is not some nameless thing to me. Courage is that I accept that I am intolerant of attacks on me. So therefore, I cannot tolerate attacks on others, attacks on the world, attacks on nature, on the natural world. So therefore, I value trying to change things so people collectively in the world do not have to suffer, because it is intolerable for me, so therefore it's intolerable when it's done elsewhere. Those are values. Don't talk about it, do it. When you talk about it and do it, that is action. That is the value. That is morality. Don't say you love yourself. Don't say you love your community. Don't say you love your friends. Don't say you love your family, you and your children. Show it. Do it. And the way to do it is you got to participate. You have to be actively participating. You have to actively look into it. You have to actively find how to look into it. You have to actively talk to each other and put that into action. You have to actively look for solutions and discuss it with others. Share it with others. You know, there's a simple saying, sharing is caring. And it's true. Politics is something that the ruling, the ones that want to rule, came up with. And they're telling you not to talk about politics. Means that you're accepting the evil, the standards. Politics is life. Policy drives your life. And when you accept evil policies because they make sense, without actually taking a deep look into it, and when you don't have an idea of what the your values are, because you're indoctrinated into it, and you don't have the curiosity and you don't have the drive and will to look into it, then you are accepting that evil, not just for others, but for yourself. We need to understand values. Values must have a concrete basis. And the simplest is, if it would be intolerable for you in the common natural laws and common natural values, then you can't tolerate it happening to others. If your idea is that my skin color, and because of a majority, and those are the values, and hell with whatever happens to anybody else or anything else, then those are not values. That is evil. Your values go against common natural laws, common natural values. And if you state you have all these values and so on and so forth that are based on common natural laws and common natural values, and yet you won't step up, you won't put the effort into it and say, oh well, I can only do what I can. My family, my friends, my community. It's like then you don't actually then you don't actually believe in, you don't actually have values. You obfuscate your values. You deteriorate it if you don't put the effort and will into it. If your idea is to follow the 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 uh, the standards of what essentially is a horrible evil standards, then of the mainstream society, and that's just not based solely on skin color or the different shape of the eyes, then you are accepting of the evil. If your own personal lives and your own personal families and bloodlines matter more than the things that are breaking down everything from a micro to a macro scale levels, then you are accepting of the evil. It doesn't matter if you're not actually physically involved. But the thing is you are in fact physically involved. That's all I got to say.